Online crew, welcome to a new week and a new fresh start for trainings this week. And today, like every other week, is where I start with something to do with personal development, personal growth, something to help you think about, the person that you are and how you kind of approach life and business, because you are the one that's going to make your business successful. It's not all the fancy social media stuff. So even though I teach social media and I stand behind my motto of being a human before a marketer, and majority of what I do is teaching social media skills to social sellers and network marketers, my first video of the week is always something to do with the mind. And the reason for that is what I've just said, is all the social media stuff is really cool and it's necessary, but there are, there's just no question that the main difference between those that are successful in this industry and those that aren't is the actual individual themselves. It's the way that you think, your self-belief, your self-worth, how you show up, the way that you think, the things that you do, the action that you take. So this video is a really important video. I think it's the most important video of the entire week that I do, because it can be really impactful. So today what I'm sharing with you is 6 steps to take back your control and focus. How many of you have got a squirrel brain and you're all over the place? So you've got a million things that you're thinking about, all the time. You're here, there, everywhere. You're thinking about business and this and that and whatever, and you've got a bit of a squirrel brain. And you're not really doing the things that you know you need to do. And maybe you've just realized that the first month of 2025 has gone by and it's already February, and you haven't really progressed like you thought you would, or your New Year's resolutions haven't really, come into play yet. So what we want to think about is, refocusing. And when you are focused and when you are organized and focused and you've got dedicated activity going on, then it can really make a massive difference in your business. So what I wanted to share with you is these 6 steps. And when I was reading this, it's just like, oh, this is exactly what I do. Late last year, I went to a company conference, and part of, the recognition that I received at that event, I got given a book. And this is the book. Now, I don't know if you've seen it before, because this is actually an Australian author. So, it might not be worldly known, but it's called Switch Off. And it's by a girl called Angela Lockwood. And it basically, what the whole book is about is how to find calm in a noisy world. So I don't know about you guys, but I certainly have a little voice in my head that goes off all the time and sends me off on different tangents. Or I come to social media to do something, I open up my phone, and then, the next minute you've got squirrel brain going on and you're off in all these different, directions that you shouldn't be. So you're just thinking about a lot of different things at once. You get overwhelmed really quickly. You're not getting you're not getting as many results in your business because you've got squirrel brain. So we really need to deal with that and get really focused to get results. Now's the time to do that. We've just, like, a whole month has gone in this year. We're in a new month already. So I know from my perspective, getting really focused on a few things have made some massive difference in my year so far. So I've already just ranked up again at the end of last month. I've got my exercise back on track, getting my health back on track, and it's because I've become really focused in what I'm doing. And for those of you in the sort of like the social selling and online marketing kind of space, I have multiple streams of income, and I pride myself on that. I've got 14 streams of income. But the last month or so, I've really been focused on 3 of them mainly, but I've got a lot more than that. But there's some income streams that I could concentrate on that I know would probably bring me more immediate money, but I'm actually not focusing on them at the moment because I'm really focused on my network marketing business. When you bring that focus in, it's amazing what can happen and how the results can skyrocket because you're just focusing on, a few things. So focus is really important. So I'm going to take you through this 6-step process from Angela in this book. And this is very similar, just slight differences, very similar to the way that I actually operate anyway. So this is really important. If you do have squirrel brain, you're not getting the results that you want to, and you know you need to refocus for the year ahead. I would grab a pen and a piece of paper and follow these 6 steps. So write them down and then actually go and think seriously about these 6 steps because it could make a massive difference to you. Okay. If you are joining me live, please say hello. Let me know you're here. Mel, haha, squirrel brain. Absolutely. I'm buying that book for sure. So again, it's just called Switch Off, How to Find Calm in a Noisy World. And I know most people have a little voice in their head and a million different thoughts, but it just doesn't serve you well. Okay. So I just want to check something. Mel, where are you watching from? Are you watching from my group or my business page, or she's just purchased it? You're very quick off the mark, Mel. Good for you. I reckon, no, I won't check it now. I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with this live technically, but that doesn't matter. I'll resolve afterwards. Okay. So number 1, think. This is something that I share constantly. When you're not focused, when you got a lot going on, you get overwhelmed with all the things that you need to do and you're not really getting any real results. You have to stop and take a step back and actually have thinking time. So absolutely critically important. You have to think, but you have to think logically, because sometimes we get into the emotion of things and, there's things like, oh, nothing's working. And we get, really emotional about things, and it doesn't set us off, on the right path. So when we say think, like if you're writing down number 1 next to think, you want to put next to that, think logically, think about the facts, weigh up the options, and gather all your information. So that's why, and you'll find that, all of that stuff in the book. But that when we kind of say we'll sit and think with things, that's what you want to think about. You've got to think logically without the emotion. You've got to think about facts. You've got to think about, all the options that you where you want to go, why you want to go, could you go this way, that way, whatever, what should you be doing? Like you've got to weigh up all the options and gather all the information. So you've really got to sit back and think. I know when I get overwhelmed, I have to actually sit, but I sit deliberately with an old-fashioned pen. Remember these things before computers and phones and all the rest of it, a pen and a piece of paper, because I know I need to get things out of my brain. And actually, there's a huge science behind that, actually using like a pen and paper, the connection between the brain and the hand and writing that you cannot get from typing in a phone or a computer. So when I'm really, really confused with things and I need to really prioritize and strip things back and work out how I want to focus, I actually just write. It's the same as journaling. If you've ever done journaling in your life, journaling is super, super, super powerful for dealing with things and sorting things out and helping you navigate certain situations when you actually physically write about them. So the first step is actually just stopping, thinking, analyzing, writing things down, gathering all the facts and looking at things logically. Okay. And I will say, looking at things honestly. So you have to be honest with yourself when you're not doing the things that you know you need to do as well, which happens a lot in this industry. People are not sometimes doing the things that they know they need to do, but they're complaining that their business isn't growing. You can't complain if your business isn't growing if you're actually not doing the activity that you know you need to do to build your business. So you have to be honest about those kind of things when you're thinking about all these things. So that's number 1. Number 2 is feeling. like actually recognizing how you feel. This is where you actually tap into your intuition, where you follow your gut. Like if you actually had that, um, you know, that kind of feeling in your gut that you need to make a different decision or go elsewhere or do something that is really, really hard or a hard decision to make, but your gut is telling you that you need to do it, but your head's telling you that you can't. I went through that last year when I changed companies. Like my gut was telling me to do it, but my head was saying, you can't. You can't. You can't do that to the team. You can't leave. What will people think of you? What will your audience think of you? What will your followers think of you? Like my head was saying no and my gut was saying yes. So you have to tap into that as well, and get really logical about that up here. But also you've got to tap into the feeling of, what it is that you're feeling and what you think your gut is telling you, because it's super, super important. Thankfully, I followed my gut instead of my head, and it's been the best thing ever. Okay. So number 2 is also tapping into that intuition and, what you're actually feeling in your gut. You need to do that as well. We need the logic and the intuition to go hand in hand to make the best decisions possible. Now, your brain might initially fight you, but when you really tap into the gut and the intuition, then you might logically come to the decision that you need to, even though it might be really, really hard. But you need your logic and your intuition to come together to make the best decisions for you in life, whether that's business or personal or whatever. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is actually making decisions. And you'd be surprised, this is the sticking point for most people, is they don't actually make a decision. You're actually only one decision away from being healthier. You're only one decision away from having a better business. You're only one decision away from taking more action in your business. You're only one decision away from, preparing different meals. You really are only one decision away from probably a better change for yourself in your business or your life. So you have to make decisions. You can't avoid making decisions if you're not focused and you're not organized and you're overwhelmed. It means that you're not making decisions. You're all up in your head and you're not taking any action because you're not making any decisions. So as simplistic as this sounds, it's actually what the missing piece for most people is. They're not actually making specific decisions. Like, no, I'm going to get up earlier and do this. Or no, I'm going to network and prospect for 30 minutes a day, every day, at 7 o'clock in the morning or, whatever. Like you've actually got to make a decision. Most people are actually sitting in indecision. And that's what leads them to be unfocused. Number 4 is actually doing the do. And you've got to do the do with discipline and not motivation, because motivation is fleeting and it doesn't stick. So you might be motivated for a week or 2 or a month to go on a diet, to exercise, to build your business, to do some networking every day, to create good content. And then the motivation fades. So you've got to do the do with the discipline. And I was sharing this with my VIP students. We just got off a 2-hour call. And what I was sharing with them is the difference between motivation and discipline with my exercise in the morning. So I got slack for a number of months before Christmas about exercising, and I just wasn't exercising anymore in the morning. I don't know what slipped me up. Actually, I do know what slipped me up, and it threw me off course, and I just got out of the habit. But I let that habit continue for weeks and weeks, and it just, eventually didn't feel good. So I knew I needed to get back on the wagon. I knew I wanted to get back to exercising in the morning, because I know how much better it makes me feel. And I know how much better it starts my day. And it's just better for me in so many ways. So, but I knew I had to discipline myself. So I knew the only way that was going to happen if I set my alarm earlier than when I was getting up, because I was getting up a little bit later. And having a little sleep in, but I wasn't exercising. So I set the alarm a little bit earlier and I disciplined myself to get up and exercise. And I did it over and over and over and over again, even when I didn't want to. Like the alarm would go off and it's like, oh, I just so don't feel it. I disciplined myself to still get up and do it anyway. I am now at a point, really only a couple of months down the track, where I will not allow myself not to exercise in the morning because it's so much of a new habit for me, because I know how much better I feel when I do it. And I know how much more productive I am when I do it. And when I'm doing it and I'm walking on the treadmill and the cross trainer, I'm cleaning out my emails and my messages and doing what I need to do and posting in my stories. And I'm so much more productive when I do it. So even when I don't feel like it, I am not relying on motivation to get up and exercise in the morning. I'm relying on discipline. But now, because I've done it for like a couple of months, it's actually, if I even have half a thought about not getting up when my alarm goes off, it doesn't even, like, my other voice goes, no, get up, and I just get up. So to be able to create that kind of habit, you've actually got to rely on discipline and not motivation, but you've got to do the do. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 5, you've always got to reflect and evaluate whatever you're doing, whether it's working or it's not. And most people are not even thinking about this. When you effectively evaluate, and you should do it at least once a week, when you evaluate that week and it's like, okay, what worked this week and what didn't work this week, when you actually look at yourself in the face in the mirror and actually ask yourself those questions, you'll be honest about where you've let yourself down, what you haven't done, what you knew you needed to do and you still didn't do it. Like, that honesty is necessary for you to make changes. Most people are actually running on autopilot, which is their subconscious. And week after week after week turns into month after month after month of not getting the results that they want. They're not eating healthy like they want to, or exercising, or building their business like they want to. Like, the weeks and the months are just rolling on by where they're disappointed in their results. And part of that is not actually evaluating effectively and looking yourself in the face honestly and evaluating, okay, I know I'm not doing the things that I know I need to do. And I know that didn't work this week. I got up late every morning again. I ate shit again. I didn't exercise again. Like, unless you actually sit back and evaluate what you did and didn't do, it doesn't actually smack you bang in the face that you need to make changes. You're just running on autopilot and the weeks are, turning into months. Who wants that? So the evaluation piece is super, super, super important. And the last step to it is, once you've evaluated, number 6 is actually choosing again. So once you've done that evaluation piece about what worked and what didn't work, then you make different choices. Okay, I need to change this and I need to change that, or I need to do this a little bit differently, or I just, you become very clear. There's a lot of clarity about what you need to do and what you need to change. But you can't get the clarity and make the decision to change unless you're actually, evaluating. Okay. And in this book, there's a really good example. It is an Australian book, like an Australian author. So there's an Australian examples in it. But there was an example of a previous Prime Minister of ours, Julia Gillard. And she was kind of asked, what would you do differently, or evaluating your term as Prime Minister. And she literally said, I wish I took more time to actually think and evaluate and make decisions than be on the fly all the time and reactive to what's going on. That's a Prime Minister that said that, which is a reflection on these 6 steps that I've just given you. It's exactly what we're talking about in this 6 steps, because you can run on, autopilot and react to everything that's in front of you, or who's in front of you and who needs you, who's vowing for your time, looking after kids or grandkids or parents or whatever it is, doing what you need to do every day. You're just running, you're on the go, you're working, you're doing whatever. And so, but what you really need for you gets left behind. You can't change that unless you really effectively go through these 6 steps and work out what it is that you need to do to change that. So I know this can seem simplistic on the surface of it, but when I was reading this book and going through those steps, it's like, that's exactly what I do to pivot quickly. And the best thing that you can learn to do, the best thing that going through mentorship myself, and I have spent well over $100,000 on mentorship, is learning how to pivot quickly. So when I go off course, personally, professionally, business-wise, relationship-wise, whatever it is, I just learn to pivot really quickly. I don't stay in my issues, whatever they are. whether they're personal or business or whatever. If I'm not being productive, then because I evaluate myself kind of at the end of every week, you pick up on the mistakes or the things that you're not happy with, and you just learn to pivot. And when you learn to pivot really quickly, you'll be healthier, you'll be happier, you'll have better relationships, and trust me, you'll be growing a better business. So, you know, I know there's some people that won't even, I've got balloons going on over Instagram here because I keep moving my hands. I know there's some people that won't even watch this video because of the title. It's just like, oh, it's not a social media thing. It's not a reel. It's not a TikTok. It's not a, how do you get engagement quicker? How do you do this, whatever. But these kind of videos and these kind of 6 steps can make all the difference to how you actually take control of your day and your life and your little squirrel brain and actually do the things that you know you need to do. So for those of you listening to this live or catching the replay later, I applaud you for still staying and getting this far through the video. And I hope that you've written these 6 steps down. And I would actually sit with these 6 steps and actually go through this process, because this is exactly what I do to pivot. And when you learn to pivot quicker, you'll pick up your mistakes quicker, you'll pick up your bad habits quicker, and then you'll start making small changes. And it's the small changes that you make on an ongoing basis that are going to turn you into the person that is deserving of a 6 or 7 figure income, whatever it is that you desire. Everyone's a little bit different in what they want to achieve, but it's that kind of person, and you'll start attracting things to you. You'll start attracting the right people to you, the right processes, the right activity, just the right piece of information that you need to hear at that time of day, like this video, how this has popped up and you're listening to it. Like there's something in this video that you probably needed to hear. So I would take something like this and these 6 steps, even though it might seem quite simplistic, quite seriously, because it can make all the difference. Okay. Mel, I definitely have to get better at that. I'm on the fly type of girl, and most people are, Mel. And what most people don't realize is we are literally run by our subconscious, and we're on the fly most of the time. We don't even realize some of the bad habits that we have until we get really disappointed in ourselves for, creeping on the weight or eating the wrong food or not getting any results in our business. And we've been in our business for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, and we're still not where we thought we should be by now. It's because we're not taking control. So when we take control and we actually focus, and I was just explaining to my VIP students before as well that I have multiple income streams, but some of them I've chosen to pretty much put on hold at the moment to purely focus on my network marketing business. So it's a conscious decision and a focus, and it's working. Like I just ranked up again at the end of last month. Like when you focus on something and give it your all attention and have that laser focus, you can achieve amazing things. I made the decision to do a 3-day gut reboot last week, and it was amazing, and I lost over 2 kilos and I felt amazing, but it took a decision to do that. So sometimes it's just in the decision, which was step 3, but all those 6 steps flow together. So I really hope if you've come across this video that there's something in this video that resonates with you to take back your control and get really focused so you can actually get the results that you're looking for. Because it's not all the fancy social media stuff that's going to build your business. It's you. It's your brain. It's how you work. It's your focus. It's your control. It's your mindset. It's your self-worth. It's your belief. It's your day, how you control your day, how you plan your day, how you show up every day. That's what's going to make you a successful, 6 or 7 figure, whatever it is that you desire. Okay. So couple of things. We've got the Reels Bootcamp coming up. I'm doing another Reels Bootcamp. I've only ever done one. It's time for another one to get stuck into Reels, learning all about Reels. It's going to be free. It's only going to be delivered in my free social media group. So registrations will open either later this week if we're organised enough, that's the plan, or early next week. So we'll see how we go. But that's coming this month in a couple of weeks. So watch out for that. Those of you that are in my coaching community, this week's training, I'm talking about repurposing content across platforms and how to do that in a really strategic, easy way so it flows. So that's going to be a brilliant training for those of you in my coaching community. Other than that, I will see you here live in 2 days' time for my next live video. And if you're ever looking for the latest 3 live videos of mine, just go to helenmartinonline.com, which is my website, helenmartinonline.com, helenmartinonline.com. And I always have my 3 latest public videos on the front page there. So that's where you can catch up on my trainings. Okay, so I will see you in the next live video in a couple of days' time. And coaching community, don't miss that training, and watch out for the registrations for the Reels Bootcamp coming up later this month. Okay, bye.